up, you guys? Welcome back to Me TV Reviews. I am your host, Mo, and tonight, we're going to be discussing All Her Fault. That's right, y'all. This is episode 3, titled episode 3. I told y'all this is a limited series. I hope you guys have had a wonderful weekend. Unfortunately, y'all, it's going to be back to the hustle and bustle in just a few hours. But never fret, okay? Mo's got what you need for your start to your week. So without further ado, let's go ahead, get into the synopsis real quick, and then we're going to get right into the episode. So the synopsis for this one is Alcaras turns his attention to the recent Chicago Marathon attended by Carrie, the Irvines, and a potential new suspect. A canvassing event aims to keep the case alive, and Peter takes matters into his own hands. Y'all, it was a pretty good episode. Now, before we get started, I just want to say thank y'all, okay? Because it seems like Peacock has churned out some pretty good shows when it comes to like mystery, thriller type of situations. What was the other one from not so long ago? The Good Apples, All Bad Apples, or something like that. All the apples from the stove. That was a really good show, y'all, too. Some of the highest numbers for turnout there, and this is no exception either, y'all. I really do appreciate you for sharing, for listening, for double listening. I know y'all have probably been like, girl, why is it taking you so long for these other episodes? But I do have a lot going on right now, y'all. Okay. So I'm trying to get them out as fast as possible, but life is just lifing right now, and it's hard. So without further ado, let's go ahead, get into the episode. But I just wanted to let y'all know how much I appreciate y'all before we got started. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, this episode opens with Peter coming home right after Rissa and Jenny come to the realization that Anna and Carrie were good girlfriends. Dare I say they were actually in cahoots. So she ends up telling Peter that she been lying to us this whole time. She's just so confused about why she would do something like this. Just then, y'all, there's a knock at the door. Speaking of the devil, it's Anna. And so she ends up revealing the full extent of their friendship. And she was like, yeah, all the nannies would go down to the playground and kick it while the kids played, okay? Of course, while the kids are playing, we out there gossiping about our families. But then Carrie, she was asking some normal questions at first, but then they started getting a little peculiar. And it was like, okay, a little too personal. So she started asking her about the Irvines, what they like, what they do, their schedules, do they go on vacations, Milo's routine, what he likes, what he doesn't like. All of those things, right? Girl, what days do you work? You work every day? Oh, okay, what time? What time are you not there? And for whatever reason, y'all, Anna didn't seem to think that this was odd. So she just answered every question that Carrie threw her way. Because she never thought that Carrie would be capable of deceiving her. I thought we was friends. I thought we was homies. Girl, please. Now, Anna says now that she's thought about it though, there was this one other time that I saw her with a guy that she claimed was a coincidental run-in. And so she was like, what are you talking about, Anna? So Anna ends up telling them about the time that she met up with Carrie. This was sort of kind of downtown. This wasn't at the playground. This was at a different location. And she was there with Carrie because they were just hanging out. And she was like, so what type of meetup was this? And she was like, oh, I guess we were just, hanging out. And so she says that this was at the marathon. Okay, turns out Peter was participating in a marathon. And so Anna had tagged along per Rissa's request, but we'll come back to it. So Anna was there, and she ended up asking Carrie, was she going to be there? And she was like, yeah, girl, I might actually be down there. Now, when she got down there, though, Carrie, they had went to go get some food from one of the food trucks because Milo was hungry, right? But she set her phone down to try to pay for everything, but she forgot her phone. And so she went back to go get it, and she left Milo with Carrie. Excuse me, what? Now, I know we good girlfriends and all. I know we be kicking it down there to the playground. But why couldn't you grab that little boy's hand and walk him back with you to the food truck? He is your responsibility when Rissa is not there. And oh, by the way, Rissa was not there because when right before she met up with Carrie, um, Rissa was like, "Oh, hey girl, hold on. Can you watch Milo for a quick second? I'm gonna be right back." And so this is when she ran into Carrie. And then while she was on her way back from grabbing her phone at the food truck, she happens to see Carrie talking to a guy. Now, it seems like they might have been arguing, but either way, this was some coincidental run in that she tried to explain away, like, oh, he was just down here. That's my friend. I didn't know he was going to be down here, girl. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Side note. Now, of course, after Peter and Rissa hear this, they done called the cops. Okay, they done called the law, get the detectives down here because they need to hear this. And she was like, you called the law me? I'm gonna get in trouble. And they was like, girl, be glad that that's all we did, because when I tell you I'm finna put hands and feet on you, you finna touch every wall. I'm finna catch a case. They don't really have too much room to talk though. Because Anna is more like that baby's mama than. Anywho. So, Rissa, where did you go? Where did you go in that moment? So the police show up and she has to give them a statement and a description of the guy that she saw. Now, she does say that she didn't get a good look at him because when she saw him, his back was to her. But she did see that he was wearing a hoodie and sort of like a flannel hoodie. And he had on some blue jeans and he was kind of tall. Right. So the detectives show up to Rissa and Peter's house to update them the next day or a couple days later. And they ask if they noticed anything abnormal at the marathon. Now, of course, both of them say no. But once they start telling them everything that Anna had told them, Rissa goes to excuse herself to cry. Because y'all remember when she dipped out at the marathon, hey girl, can you watch my kid for a second? When she did that, y'all, she did the exact same thing that Milo knew she would do. Now, we ended up getting a flashback, and he had told her, mama girl, so I'm glad that we finna go have some family time or whatever, down here at the marathon. But when she told him that Anna was coming, he was like, girl, why? I hate it when you bring her to family time, because when you bring her, that usually means that you have to work. Y'all, when I tell y'all the struggles of being a working mama, it's hard. It is. It's a tightrope, especially if you own your own business. You don't really get um the privilege to take all of that time off versus if you were just working for somebody else. It's a 24-hour job, but so is being a mom. It's rough. So at this point, Milo is hella smart. He's like 5 years old, but he knows her habits at this point. He might be on to something. Now, I'm not saying you can't have both. You can work and you can be a mama, girl, but you're going to have to figure out how to manage it a lot better than what you're doing. That's it. Hopefully we get Milo back and you can make the needed adjustments, but y'all, she is just so critical of herself right now because he was absolutely right. Because turns out when she said, I'm going to be right back, Peter was literally finna get ready to pass her and the potential client that she was trying to bring in. Or the client that I think that was already her client. Yeah. So she was literally over there, rubbing elbows with her client when Peter was running past her. And the whole time, her son is with somebody, a complete stranger, that she had no clue he was with. Hell, Anna wasn't even supposed to be there. Whew. So after the detectives leave, Peter ends up finding her just, y'all, the kitchen island is holding her up. She is having a meltdown, y'all. And so, she finally starts screaming, why are you still being nice to me? This is all my fault. Hence the show name. I just hate this so much because she's trying to find a balance, and I just feel like if they would work together as a team and not rely so much on Anna. Anna is there for support. Y'all should be doing the heavy lifting as a team. But usually we know that that's not how that works. Now, back at the precinct, the detectives are talking motive, okay? Why would the guy meeting up with Carrie skedaddle just as Anna is finna get ready to come back from getting her phone? And side note, Anna, what in the world? How you just gonna leave your phone at the food truck like that? And why would you leave Milo with a stranger? Getting mad again. Getting mad all over again, y'all. So they trying to figure out why whoever this was would skedaddle that quickly, because maybe, just maybe, Anna might know exactly who this person is if she saw who it was. So when he went to go talk to the Irvines, that one particular Detective Alcaras, he happened to notice all of these different drawings on the refrigerator. Y'all, Milo is a little Picasso over there. He like to draw all the time. I love it, y'all. And so he was like, hey, so can you check and see if he's got some drawings at school? Maybe he done drew something at school that might be able to help us try to locate him or whoever this other person is. Okay. So at the house, Collins is going through the canvassing plan with Rissa, right? And through this conversation, we found out that prior to them going into business together, Collins had some sort of gambling problem. He had a gambling addiction, y'all. But based off the phone call that he got after he left her, y'all, he was in the car. He got a phone call. It was about an account. One of the account holders, they're trying to withdraw their funds from their wealth management program. But the problem is, ain't no funds to withdraw. It seems like Collins might still be knee deep in this addiction of his, or at least misappropriating funds. Okay. Robbing Peter to pay Paul at this point. It's giving Ponzi scheme. I hope not, y'all. And I really hope the Collins is not behind all of this stuff that's happening to them. Because if it really is a ransom and they try to collect that money and they don't have it because Collins done, Jay, don't you do it. Jay Ellis, don't you let them try to pin all this on you, okay? And also, now I know that you have to um, look a certain way, play the part, if you will, fake it till you make it. But ain't no way I'm finna let you sit up here and drive around in a Ferrari if you got a gambling addiction, bro. If you owe people money, there's no way I'm finna let you drive around in this high-end car. We finna have to take that back to the to the dealer. We gonna have to downgrade you to like a BMW or something, not a Rari. You can't have that. You got debts to pay. Now, Peter ends up receiving a phone call from a guy. Now, initially he thought that it was a prank, right? And he was like, no, actually, I have Milo. And as a matter of fact, I'll give you proof that I have Milo. See, I'm actually at the store right now and I'm finna get ready to grab some Fruit Loops. You remember that's Milo's favorite cereal, and we letting him have all of it because apparently y'all don't let him have Fruit Loops at the house. Yeah. And so he was like, "Well, can you put Milo on the phone because I need proof of life?" And I was like, "There you go, Peter." And he was like, no, that's not gonna happen. But what I will have you do is go ahead and start collecting your ducats. And by the way, don't tell nobody about this phone call. Because if you do, you're not gonna ever find out what happened to your son. I was like, oh, okay. What is Peter going to do? What would y'all do in that instance? Y'all, that is a really hard place to be in. I would definitely put Rissa up on game. I wouldn't be doing all this alone. I would have to loop somebody in. Maybe not Rissa, cause I think I would have to loop her in. That's my partner. Okay. Yeah, that's our kid. I would have to loop her in. But I would be really nervous about her going to the police. So he does not call the law, okay? Instead, he does contact somebody named Amit, who in turn understands and agrees to empty all of his accounts because the thing that I told you would possibly happen is happening. And so he was like, okay, understood. I'll meet you in a little bit. My question is, whose accounts are you emptying? Are those your accounts? Does Rissa know about those accounts, or are they the accounts of your clients? Because y'all remember that he is a part of like some financial job, like white collar type of job. Okay. So also, my other question at that particular point in time was, how sure are we that Milo is still alive? Because Carrie had been asking Anna all these different questions. Who's to say that she didn't ask Anna or Milo when they were together, what's your favorite cereal? He could have told them Fruit Loops at any point. Fruit Loops, but my mama don't let me have them. Mm-hmm. How how do we know that Milo is still alive? So Jenny ends up getting a call from her partner at work. And it turns out the client that they're trying to close, y'all remember that that one particular client that they keep having to push off? Well, apparently, y'all, this client has pushed back the meeting time by an hour. Okay. The meeting is now set for 2 o'clock. Now, of course, this does not give her enough time to do this meeting and still go get Jacob from school on time. So she has to reach out to her useless husband, Richie. And I feel like at this point, y'all, Richie must have heard everybody screaming about how trash of a husband he is in that last episode. Because when she calls him this time, he was like, yeah, sure, I can get him. Now, this does happen to be the same day that he's having like his extracurricular trivia quiz team meetup. And he was like, no, babe, that's okay. I'll cancel. I can reschedule. Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. So they go to their meeting, and the potential client is not a man of many words. All he really needs is a good reason as to why he should switch from the publishing house that he's currently using to y'all's publishing house. But when they get off in there, he tries to dismiss them as soon as they get in the room. When I tell y'all, they weren't even having a conversation for 20 seconds. He was like, oh, I already looked at all this stuff. I know you got this report off in there. I'll look at it and I'll let you know. And so her partner was like, okay. And initially she was too, but as she's walking away, she was like, oh, hell no, I'm not gonna let this ride because I done went through too much for me to just sit back and let this go this easily. And so she turns around and she was like, hey, so you remember that particular thing that you said that you had already looked at? That's so funny because I never actually put that in any of my presentations for budgets. And he was like, yes, you do. Y'all all do. And she was like, no, actually, no, I don't. And as a matter of fact, the budget proposal that I put together for you, that was actually based off of your financials from last year. So can you please do me a solid and actually look at the proposal that I sent you and get back to me? Because I'm the one that did all of that work, not some assistant, not somebody else that I done hired. I did that work. I took the time out. And so then she had the nerve to ask him, does he have any kids? And he was like, no. And then he said something about sleep being overrated. And she was like, you got kids? And he said, no. And she was like, I can tell because sleep is definitely not overrated. And I was like, amen to that, Jenny. I concur, girl. But I was like, Jenny, now while I am very proud of you for standing up for yourself, girl, you better do it. You better speak up, okay, for your hard work and the time that you have put in on the professional front, on the personal front. Girl, you literally just been taking care of Jacob for the past 3, 4 days. Okay, what are you talking about? Ugh. Is it too soon? Is it too soon for me to say that? Okay. Has she earned her weight just yet, y'all? I don't believe she has. She been struggling for 3 days. That is it. Now, what I will say is I did not expect that to go the way that it did because I was more concerned about the fact that this guy would have Googled her and seen all of the mess that's popping up around Milo's case, and he probably wouldn't have given her a chance based off of that. But I'm glad it worked out for her. Okay. So he'll get back to them about whether or not he's going to choose to switch publishing companies. But he's impressed. Now, Peter and Rissa, they getting ready to join everybody else at the canvassing event, right? They at the house. But Peter says, you know what, babe? Listen, it is a lot going on right now. I'm just feeling very overwhelmed, very emotional because of what's happening. So, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna hop in my car and I'm just gonna go for a quick ride, okay? And so she was like, okay, that's fine. That's fine, baby. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, be careful. So he leaves, right? And we know that he finna go do something else, especially after he just received his phone call. So while they're having this conversation, Leah is gonna get ready to go grab Brian from out the guest house. And she's concerned because he's just choosing to take his walking cane with him. He's not taking anything else with him. He's not even choosing to use his chair. And she was like, are you sure you want to do this? And he was like, yeah. She was like, we're going to be out there walking for quite a bit, right? And he was like, yeah, this is my nephew. I'm going to show up. This is super important. Okay. Um, I'm going to be here for him. So, Brian is really struggling, but he's trying to push through for the sake of his nephew. Now, at the precinct, Detective Alcaras has somebody from IT try to get their eyes on this mystery man that was at the marathon. But the problem is, this particular event, the Chicago Marathon, y'all, it amasses over 1 million people, if not more than that. I think she said it was like 1 million to 1.5 million people at that event. Insane. But she does, her whiz kid IT thing, and she's able to narrow it down to like a 30-minute window based off the particular checkpoints, especially I think the one that he gave her was like Adams and some other checkpoint that Peter happened to pass right then. And she's able to find a 30-minute window. So I was like, okay, girl. Now she does get a photo, but unfortunately it's the photo from behind. So she was like, okay, my bad. Like she thought she was gonna get some progress and she was like, damn. So they back to the drawing board. Excuse me, y'all. Now everybody convenes to start canvassing. And Rissa is surprised to see Miriam Esther. Y'all, her real name is Esther, but she's been Miriam since episode 1, so that's what I'm gonna continue to call her. She just gonna have 2 names, okay? So she's surprised to see Miriam Esther show up with snacks and refreshments. So it turns out the people that are catering today's event, y'all, that's her business. Okay, she got coffee, donuts, and all the things. Little tarts and all that. And Miriam Esther is even more surprised to see Jenny show up because, girl, what are you doing here? I done seen your name all on the news, and it's not looking good for you, girl. You the lady that done hired that nanny that ran off with that boy. Yeah. So it's a little awkward at first, but everybody seems to put on a nice front. You know somebody who ain't putting on a nice front, and y'all know I can't stand this lady, Sarah. Sarah. Now I don't know if it's with the H or without, but either way, I need to stick my foot out for this girl because she gets on my nerves. Now Sarah is being messy per usual. This time she's actually talking to Collins. Now, Collins is trying to get everybody prepared. You know, he's going down the whole list of what's going to get ready to happen. And he's setting up the tables and stuff. Y'all remember they had set up that hotline and all the things. That way, if somebody were to hear something while they were out canvassing, they could call in right away to that hotline to help the detectives get a head start, right? So she's over there talking to Collins about the business, him and Rissa's business. But of course, he's got an A+ in media training classes, and so he refocuses her attention on the task at hand. See, that's not what we're here for, okay? I am so thankful that you were concerned about what's going on, but our primary concern right now is trying to find Milo. Please and thank you. Thank you for being here. Yes, Collins. While you still, looking kind of shady. I'm side-eyeing you, but I did love that. I love that. So, Collins is giving the crowd a pep talk, okay? Rissa is trying to figure out where in the hell Peter is. He still ain't showed up, and you said that all you needed to do was go take a ride to clear your head, and that was about an hour ago. And so instead of him being there, y'all, he's actually meeting with his money guy to get all the money. I ain't never seen so much money, y'all, in a duffel bag. It's bands and it's straight up hundreds, okay? So I don't know how much money that is, but that is a lot. I don't know if it's all the money, but either way, if that's still a portion, it's still a lot. So he rushes back home to hide the duffel bag, but I don't feel like we saw where he hid it at. And it may not pop up later, but I feel like some kind of way Rissa or somebody is going to discover this bag. So they end up wrapping up the canvas. And unfortunately, y'all, no new leads have been discovered. And everybody is feeling very defeated, including Leah and Brian. So they end up having a conversation. And Brian was like, damn, we ain't getting nowhere today. And she was like, that's okay. Who's to say that something won't come of this? Or who's to say that somebody else didn't have something pop up with them? But the one thing that I picked up on during this conversation is that nobody expects things like this to happen to them until it does. A lot of times we often say, oh, that could never be me, or this, that, and the third, or you try to empathize with people, but honestly, you just never think that something like this would hit so close to home until it does. And it's very unfortunate. And so that's the first way that I took it. But I also took it as the way that it came out, it almost seemed like it was like a sense of entitlement too. Like, because, they're very well off. Like, as long as we have money to throw at problems like this, all we got to do is wait for somebody to call and we can throw some money at the situation. Maybe we can get Milo back, and no, this won't be something that we laugh at, but, we'll forget it. Her words, not mine, y'all. I was like, this is not something that you ever forget. But okay, girl, that baby is going to need a whole bunch of therapy. Like I said, that's not how this works. And if that's how you feel about it, look at Brian's situation, because whatever happened to Brian, and we still haven't gotten the backstory on that. We do know, according to Peter, that this was Leah's fault as to why he is how he is now. But even still, look at him. It's a completely different situation, but that's not something that you can just throw money at. He's still going to have lifelong lasting effects from what happened. I don't see why she said what she said. And maybe it was to try to smooth things over so she wouldn't panic herself, but sometimes you really have to just like sit there in it for a minute, process your emotions, and just figure out a way to move forward with the game plan. So Peter finally shows up, but at this point, it's over. Where the hell were you, Peter? Where have you been? And so he ends up lying to her and tells her, that he was just driving, and he had a moment. He had a moment where he got super emotional, and next thing you know, he had cried for 45 minutes. Okay. And so now here he is. They done lost track of time. So Rissa is upset because, like I said, they didn't get any new leads out of this canvassing situation, which means, that Milo is still out there somewhere. We haven't heard anything about a ransom phone call. She just doesn't know. She doesn't know where he is, how he's doing, if he's still alive at this point. Now we know that Peter knows that he may possibly still be alive because he's gotten a phone call, but he's choosing not to disclose this to Rissa just yet. Now, Jenny is on her way home when she ends up getting a phone call that they got the client. Okay, he was so impressed with her putting her foot down, and not only is he willing to work with them on his next project, but he's actually sending over his entire catalog, which is like a slew of money. Now, according to her and Richie's conversation earlier in the episode, it turns out, that she was trying to work really hard to get this promotion. But whatever the promotion is not going to financially boost their pockets like it seems that it would. Okay, but maybe with him bringing over his entire catalog, shit, maybe she can get paid a commission or something. Break her off something. Don't make me break you off. Okay, she need a little something. So this is definitely a reason to celebrate. But by the time she gets home, y'all, Richie is ready to tap out. Seems like this little 6-year-old is driving him up the wall. It's too much for him to handle by himself. Now, he said that there was an argument on every front: bath time, nap time, bedtime, book time, all the times. Okay? He don't want to do nothing. Which means, he probably respect. Let me not even go that far. But I feel like that's how that works sometimes too, especially if you in certain environments. Sometimes the nannies, the au pairs, sometimes they get more respect than the parents do because that's the person that they're with the most. So he's tired, y'all. He's ready to tap out. Now he has decided to treat himself to a sandwich, and he done fixed his sandwich, y'all. And he congratulates Jenny on a job well done. However, when you walk in this house, you are a wife and a mother, which means to him, you need to clean up his mess. Y'all, he literally left everything: the cutting board, the knife, even he left the sandwich spread without the top on it, uncapped, out on the kitchen counter. When I tell y'all, it would have just been sitting there until he picked it up. That's how petty I would have been. In that same spot, I wouldn't have touched nothing. Because what? Sir. Carrie is not here right now. Now, I did forget to mention that when her and Miriam Esther were having a conversation earlier in the episode, y'all know some nasty stuff had gotten around about her. And about some pictures that she had took a couple years ago for her birthday. Again, they seem very entitled, very privileged. Context was taken it yeah, it was taken out of context. The pictures were. But you know, keyboard gangsters behind screens, okay? They don't know what's going on in her life, but it seems like her and Richie they need to hire some help because they can't seem to navigate this whole parenthood thing without a nanny. Okay. So Collins ends up making a phone call once he gets ready to head home for the night. And y'all remember the account holder that was trying to withdraw his funds earlier in the episode? Yeah, he was like, you know what, my bad for taking so long, but I think I have a solution to this problem. You can just take the funds from this other account that I'm managing and pay that account holder so he can withdraw his money. And so she was like, okay, what account would you like for me to pull these funds from? Y'all, why did he say he wants her to pull from Leah's account, Peter's sister, to pay this account holder their money? How do you have access to that? Does she know that you have access to that? How much money is in there? Did they have a previous relationship? What is going on here? I have so many questions. So, Rissa and Peters, uh, they why does that say Peters, y'all? Notes. Rissa and Peter end up having separate breakdowns, okay? Because like I said, she's of the belief that nobody has heard anything. She still hasn't gotten any ransom phone calls. So Milo could be out there anywhere if he's even still alive at this point. Now, of course, we know that Peter knows better. But he's not quite sure what to do at this point, how he's going to handle it. Where's the duffel bag of money? So the Detective Alcaras, he's still working on the case, okay? And he looks at one of the pictures after IT Wiz Kid came up, no, there, and he realized that the photo was taken from a rooftop advantage. So he goes back to IT Wiz Kid to get her to look at it one more time, and we're able to get a front shot of the guy that Carrie was with. Y'all, why was this guy somebody that's related to Miriam Esther? Because when Miriam Esther got home and she was unpacking all of her stuff, y'all, we see that there are some family photos sitting on one of the counters there. And it looks like this could possibly be her grandson or her son. This is definitely a family member. And that's the way the episode ends. Miriam Esther, do I need to call you into the principal's office? What you got going on? Is this some get back for what might have happened to a son? I'm just throwing some theories out there, y'all. What if Miriam Esther had a son that was linked to Peter or Rissa in some sort of capacity, and something happened where it was like some Bernie Madoff type stuff, lost some money? Maybe this is somebody that Collins knows or knew. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Y'all don't do Miriam Esther like that. Maybe this is all a misunderstanding. Maybe she don't know nothing about it. Okay. But y'all let me know what y'all thought about it. You can reach me at Me and You TV Reviews on Facebook and on Instagram. You can also reach me at My TV Reviews Podcast without the S on the end at gmail.com. I love y'all. Okay. We're going to get through this as a family. I know I said that, I just need a little bit of grace, but hopefully after this week, y'all, hopefully we can knock this out. Oof. It's going to be done before Christmas. Okay. I'm going to speak that now. It's going to be done before Christmas. Hopefully we can do 2 episodes a week or something. I don't know. Stranger Things is coming back. Are y'all looking at that? I'm gonna look at it, but I need to go back and completely watch season 4 because I don't even remember what happened. And y'all, I got some really disturbing news the other day. Peacock has decided to cancel Poker Face. So I wouldn't be upset at that because I was upset. But now I know that, somebody else is probably going to pick it up. I've heard HBO Max is considering picking up Poker Face. But what I'm more upset about is the fact that they are replacing, y'all couldn't even get it out, replacing Natasha Lyon. Apparently, this is an agreement that they have made at the inception of the show, where they would be rotating out the main character. All I know is I don't know if I want to watch it anymore. Because if she's not going to be there, I mean, that's her show. I was upset, y'all. Okay, but we're not going to get off into it. It's late, okay? I hope y'all have a wonderful start to your week. Y'all, please stay safe out there. And until we meet over the airwaves again, I am Mo, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.